Welcome to the Park Drive Podcast. Here we are at episode number 3, and I've got Bill Browning with me today. We're going to kind of get to know a little bit more about you, Bill.
I'm ready.
You're ready. All right. Question number 1, life before ministry. You're from Washington and a northerner and all that good stuff, so tell us kind of.
Well, the first part of my adult life, I went to school and I was trained as a paramedic. And I also did search and rescue up in the Cascade Mountains. Worked primarily hospital ERs. Did that for a number of years, and as opportunities arise and diminish, so to speak, in different areas of your life, I was offered a job in the nuclear industry. And I had chemical background and that type of thing. So I worked in an analytical lab for basically the rest of my adult life. I did take a short time out to work as a family service counselor in the funeral industry, about 5 years, just kind of a break, and then went back and did training in the nuclear industry. It was very rewarding for me, especially the early part, because it was service, serving other people, and that's what's one of the focal points of being a Christian is how can you serve other people and relay the gospel of Jesus Christ at the same time. And when you're working in a real strong Catholic hospital like I was, it was fairly easy. Similar to working at Eastern Shore Baptist Church, you kind of got that manta about you, and so it's a good thing.
Well, good. So it sounds like you've done a few interesting things along the way, from working on an ambulance to working with a nuclear power plant. I mean, that's it's quite the gamut there. So tell us, how did you meet your wife?
Well, she was working at the same facility that I was, and we had a mutual friend, Debbie Smolin, and she kept bugging me to go ask Sylvie out. And at that point in my life, I really didn't want to, have any kind of a relationship. And finally, Debbie backed me in the corner of the lab with her fingernail and pointed right in my chest and says, "You get upstairs and you ask her out now." So I did, and we went out for a cup of coffee, and we've been drinking coffee now for about 37 years, so it's worked out pretty good.
What a way to start a relationship with a threat, right? And so tell us about your kids, your grandkids, etc.
Yeah, between Sylvie and I, we have 5 children. We've got 9 grandchildren, 1 great-grandchild, and another one on the way. I've got kids primarily all in the Northwest, except for one grandson is in Washington, D.C. He's in the Old Guard at Arlington Cemetery in that group there. So he's supposed to get out. I believe he's got another year, and he's wanting to get out. But I've got a granddaughter that went through a 4-year nursing degree and program, and from Northwest Nazarene. I've got the grandson that graduated from Washington State University with a degree in mechanical engineering. Another one that's about halfway through school, and so we've got grandkids kind of scattered here
Make
and there.
You proud.
Well, yeah, but they're doing what they were supposed to do.
Sure.
Sure. And so that part of it does make me proud because they're doing what they're supposed to do.
That's great. Well, what do you like? I know, considering you're not from the area, what do you like about Eastern Shore, the church, the community? Tell us maybe even a little bit about your transition to get down here.
Well, here again, the transition. Sylvia was born and raised in Alabama. And one of the things that I used to get her to marry me was, "Babe, when you retire, we'll move back to Alabama." Well, 30 years later, she remembered. And so I upheld my end of it. At that point in time, it was a God thing, purely, because the housing market was really in a dive in our part of Washington. And I said, we'll put the house on the market and we'll see what happens. Well, we put it on the market, and within 2 days, we had a full price offer, cash offer, from a retired pastor from Connecticut. And so, yeah, it worked out the way God wanted it to
Yeah, I
work out.
can't argue with that.
Yeah. And we were invited to Eastern Shore Baptist Church. And the first sermon I heard Stuart preach was one of the same sermons that I'd heard my pastor in Richland, Washington give the previous year. And it was the same series on Nehemiah. And so I'm going, okay, yeah, we're in the right place here. And then singing in the choir. And I remember the first day we pulled into the parking lot. Um, we had parking lot attendants at that time. And James Wally uh, told us where to park. And he comes out and he says, "You're from Washington?" I said, "Yeah, we've moved down here." "What'd you do that for?" You'd have to know James. He's just a great guy, but he was jovial about it. And then that afternoon, Don and Carlotta Smith came over to visit, outreach, and they kind of cemented us staying here because we had people show us what classroom we should go to. We were directed to John Anderson's class because that was the appropriate age for us. And everything, like I said, it was a God thing.
Sure.
It's the only way you can describe it.
So tell us about your transition into your role that you have now.
Okay, when we moved down here, retirement, something everybody lusts for, I guess. I was down here for 2 months, sitting, looking at the walls, because I really didn't know anyone except for Sylvia's family. And I thought, no, this is not going to work. And so Sylvia found out about a job delivering cars for one of the local dealerships. And so I went in and put my name in, and they hired me on the spot and did that for about a week. And the gal says, "Would your wife like to do this also?" I said, "Sure." Well, I don't know. I talked with her, and she said, and she said, "Sure." And so we became the dynamic duo there. And they could call us, and they would have a team, whereas usually I would have to call at least 2 different people to get a team of drivers. Well, they'd call us, and one to call, and we would be there. And so we were doing that really well, and we were, like I said, singing in the choir. I don't think I had taught VBS at one time at that point, and so we were working into the ministry, back into the ministry here, and then one day we were coming back from a trip, and Sylvia was driving the car we'd picked up, and because it was a hot car, Sylvia likes to drive really fast cars. I don't understand it. I mean, so I get a call from John Anderson that he wanted to talk to me. And so I said, okay, and told him where I was at. And he said, well, we need pullovers. Well, we stopped at a rest area. And I says, John called, and he wants to talk to me. Well, what about? Probably about taking over senior ministry. I had no clue at that point. So we did our thing in the little square box that they call a restroom, and came out, and we're sitting there and just relaxing. And she said, "Well, are you going to call him?" I said, "Who?" Yeah. She says, "John." So I called John, and sure enough, he wanted to talk to me about this because he was having some health issues, as seniors do. And so we talked with him, talked with Stuart, prayed about it, went through the interview process, and December 4 years ago, we came on board. And I say we because it's been a group effort for Sylvia and I.
Sure.
We took this on as a team. And it's kind of neat because Stuart has a hard time mentioning senior adult ministry, just saying Bill. He's got Bill and Sylvia, which is fine. That's what we're here for.
Sure.
And she does so much. She's in the sewing servants. Of course, she's in choir. We're both in the senior sounds. She's helped so much with other things, calling people. She goes on every visitation that I do, because especially for ladies, because I believe in the Billy Graham idea that you don't, put yourself in a situation where things could get unresolved, and
Sure, just protect yourself.
Protect yourself, yeah, and protect also the people that you're going to see.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. It's not just us; it's the other folks.
Yeah. Well, what would we do without our wives in ministry? That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah, yours is powerful.
So you said that Sylvia's from the South. Was it kind of a transition for you to the culture, the foods, what was your biggest challenge in moving to the South?
The drivers. No, it's there's been a number of things. The biggest thing has been people think I talk funny, and I don't think I do. But yeah, I've had some comments there, but I don't know what that's about. No, I really haven't had that big a one because I spent a lot of time down here coming down with Sylvia when we visit family. And so I was aware of a lot of the things and more positive things, It's I'm a very conservative type person, and this area, meets.
Just kind of fits you.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a glove thing.
Well, that's great. That's great. Well, tell us about some of your hobbies, things you like to do aside from driving cars and working with senior adults.
Well, one of the things I really like to do is cook, and that's something I learned from my mother. She was the queen of country cuisine, so to speak. She, I just enjoy being in the kitchen, cooking, and I make a really mean beef stroganoff, and I used to make bouillabaisse, but that it's not off my, it's one of those things where it's tough to make.
Yeah. Modern conveniences, you try to just shorten the process.
Yeah. But anyway, I do enjoy cooking, and I'd like to do simple things, but I'm not extravagant in what I do, but just good home cooked meals. Sylvia loves it.
Oh, I'm sure she does. As long as you clean up afterwards.
Oh yeah, but she does make a mean biscuit. Oh, she makes cat heads. Have you heard about?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll have to check that out. See what I think about it. Well, we're going to take a little break, and then we're going to talk about your ministry and kind of what's going on in the senior adult ministry here. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So one of the big questions we have, or that I've always wondered and have noticed over the last several years in ministry, is that people that turn 55 plus seem to struggle with this label of a senior adult. So what do you think that's really about, Bill?
Well, it is a label, because people think that if you're not incapacitated in some way, then you can't be a senior adult. Well, we have a number of senior adults that need walkers and assistance, and that's fine. But there's a number of people that do not. That could be a real good part of our ministry. Now, that being said, there's more and more people over the age of 65 that are continuing to work now.
That's very true.
And health-wise, if they can do it, that's great. But it would be nice to be able to pair off some of that into senior adult ministries, because we've got some things planned that it would be really good to have younger people in there. Now, in the sewing servants, I mentioned that in the last segment, they've got a person that just retired not too long ago that started helping with the sewing servants, and she's been a really big help. And that's one Monday morning a month. I mean, it's not like, you're signing away your life.
You can still work around that. Maybe you have a part-time job or something.
And then the Prime Timers Luncheon.
You got to eat lunch, right?
You got to eat lunch, and we have some really good speakers lined up and activities lined up. So, yeah, it's. I wish the folks would just kind of start taking a step back and say, okay, I'm this age, and maybe I need to start associating.
Well, if that's where your peers are, I mean, that's your group that you hang out with.
Yeah.
And,
I know that there's a lot of fellows that are at my age that are still doing tennis and golf, and so it's not uh, when you become a senior adult, it's not a moratorium on sitting in a rocking chair.
Right. Do what you can do.
That's right. That's right. And be active. I mean, uh, some people ask me how I do what I do, and I said, just keep going.
Yeah. That's
You
great
know,
advice.
I learned a long time ago I could sit around and hurt, or I could get out and hurt. I'd much rather get out and do something and,
Sure.
be a little uncomfortable.
Sure.
But you're not near as uncomfortable
Well,
if you're
God's
sick.
given you more days, so you
That's
need
right.
to use them, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about the Prime Timers luncheon, so tell us, you got one coming up in November. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we've got a fellow. We're really lucky here in Eastern Shore to have a man of this caliber, Cecil Christenberry. He owns the uh, old time Feed and Seed down in Fairhope. Great little shop to get garden supplies. Uh, but anyway, he's a master gardener and he's certified. It's not just that he calls himself that. And he's going to be talking to us about winter gardening, which is something I'm not familiar with at all, being from
Yeah.
the north. Uh, and he's told me, he says, Bill, he says, we have at least 2.5 growing seasons down here if you know how to use them. Well, he's going to come and tell us how to use them
Interesting.
because, where I was from in Eastern Washington, you have one growing season if you're lucky. So I'm looking forward to, and he's just a wonderful, wonderful Christian man. Just a great guy to talk to, and and then one of the things that we've started doing is having more game times, and so we're going to schedule a game afternoon where we come in and I'll tell you what, seniors play cutthroat domino. You better know what you're doing.
Well, it sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, we do for our age group. Yes, we do. We do the beanbag toss, in the hole, whatever that's called, and things like that. So, yeah, it's fun, and I want to do a movie time. Several years ago, the Kendricks brothers put out a movie called The War Room,
Right.
and it's really emphasizes prayer, which our church is really emphasizing. It has for the last 2 or 3 years as a mainstay of our ministry. We've got prayer groups that meet, and I want to show that not just for the senior adults, but for the church. Put a time together where it would be equitable for everybody to come and see.
Sure.
So,
What other events for the rest of the year can seniors be involved in?
well, the Tree for Hope, or Trees for Hope, I would like to be able to put together a tree for the senior adult ministry, and we'll talk to Brian about that and see if we can get something like that put together. Have a one afternoon where everybody can come and decorate the tree and see what we can do. Uh, in December, we're going to be doing it's for senior luncheon, for the Prime Timers luncheon. It's going to be more of a Christmas party. We're going to be caroling and singing and just having fun. It's just kind of an old time Christmas party.
Sure.
We are going to be doing, of course, the Senior Sounds is active every week between now and the end of the year.
Is it too late for people to join that if they're interested?
No, heavens no.
So what do they need to do?
Sing. No, they need to either contact me or Jack Lavalette or Martha Lavalette, or just call here at the church office and they'll point you in the right direction. But yeah, it's certainly not too late to join, and this is the fun time because the Senior Sounds breaks their schedule up into 2 semesters, fall and spring. And the latter part of the fall semester is when we start singing Christmas music and blessing the people at the assisted living facilities, and they love it. And in fact, we were at the Brennity in Fairhope last week, and the first thing when we got through was the director down there says, "Can you come back before Christmas?" Martha's going, "We'll see what we can do." But for me,
that's great though,
Yeah.
because they want it made an impact.
Yeah.
And so you want to be able to continue to do that.
The Senior Sounds is such a strong ministry because we think, okay, these people are kind of a captive audience. And in some ways they are, but we got an email after we finished at Brennerty last week, there was a lady down there from the memory care that hadn't spoken in about, several months. Okay, I'm not going to say how long. She was singing with the music. Okay. That's a powerful statement.
Yeah, music's powerful.
Yeah, yes, it is. So that's one of our things. And then one of the things we are looking at, and we're going to have your help and Brian's help on this, is a senior adult choir tour similar to the youth choir.
Right.
And it's something I've wanted to do for a couple of years, but because of COVID and some of the shutdowns, we haven't even been able to consider it. Well, we're looking at it for next year and putting some plans together now. And it's not just going to be for the senior sounds, because I want people that just want to be able to go and minister.
Anybody that's able to do it.
Yeah, to come with us, because it's a powerful tool.
Oh yeah.
What a mission. And there's mission fields out there that we don't even know yet in this country. And,
Absolutely.
So, to spread the love of Jesus Christ and what he's done for us.
Well, that's very exciting. Very exciting. Well, let me ask you one more question before we wrap up today. It's important. So Bill, what is your most embarrassing moment?
Okay. I think I've told you that I've had 3 separate spinal surgeries. Well, between my second and third spinal surgery, it didn't go very well. The second one didn't go very well, and I was confined to a walker. Bill, being Bill, decided one day that he'd just go to the grocery store, because Sylvia had been really busy, give her that, and I would go shopping. Well, right in the middle of the vegetable department, Bill's leg gave out on him, and I ended up flat on my back. And that was rather embarrassing, especially since I knew the store manager, and he came over and gave me heck, and other things. So anyway, I didn't go anywhere without my walker anymore.
So the walker wasn't as embarrassing as the fall, is what you're saying?
Yeah. I was fine. I had the grocery cart, and I was using it, in lieu of the walker, and getting what I needed, and all of a sudden, the next thing I know, I'm flat on my back.
Well, when you let go of the grocery cart, things happen.
Yeah, I found that out. So anyway, that was rather embarrassing. I knew several people that were there, and they were concerned for me.
Well, Bill, thanks so much for joining us today, and it's been good getting to know a little bit more about you, and we hope that you'll like and subscribe and join us for more episodes to come as we get to know our staff a little better. But this is the Park Drive Podcast, and we'll see you next time.